Hey guys, LevelCap here, and today we're taking a look at the highs and lows of the Cold War beta. Now obviously this has just come out and we've only had a little while to play it so far, so this is a first impression and it's entirely possible that a lot of the things that we've played in the beta will be different with the launch of the full game. Now, all that said, I think the beta looks very promising. Despite the complaints about Cold War being a visual downgrade from Modern Warfare, I don't really think that matters all that much in the long run. Ugly games can be incredibly fun and beautiful games can be really boring. As its own product, the visuals in Cold War are fine. The visibility on some maps is problematic, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Overall, I think the visuals suit the gameplay pretty well. The animations are less natural and fluid than Modern Warfare's, which I'll admit is a little disappointing. But again, it doesn't really hurt the gameplay in the grand scheme of things. As for weapons, right now I think the M16, sniper rifles, and AK-74U are better than pretty much every other gun out there. The M16 can 3-round burst and it can single burst enemies in close quarters. It gets a little sloppy at longer ranges, but I'm sure attachments will make it one of the better overall guns. Now the AK-74U was supposedly overpowered in the alpha, but I wouldn't necessarily say that about it in the beta. Up close, it is devastating, but so are most other guns. At any other range other than close quarters though, it does feel like a bit of a pea shooter. Now the two available sniper rifles hit like trucks. They feel pretty balanced considering their ADS times are a bit on the long side, but once you're scoped in, they're devastating. Now none of the other weapons though really stood out to me one way or the other. So while I wouldn't say Cold War's weapon balance is in a bad state, I also wouldn't say it's well balanced either. It feels like there's a handful of really good weapons and a bunch of mediocre ones. Now one area that's totally out of whack though is grenades. Grenades are incredibly strong and you can equip 2 of them with a wild card. The grenade spam, especially on Cartel, is pretty game breaking. Contesting a flag from behind cover using just grenades is more than effective than actually fighting people with your gun. In my opinion, it's total overkill and I hope they rework that particular wildcard to either only give you one tactical grenade or just get rid of it entirely. I really don't see the need for players to have 2 lethal grenades, and as it stands, grenade spam in the beta is pretty awful and I hope they change it for full release. As for the maps, I'm a little on the fence. Miami is a pretty solid map, but the only mode that I've had a chance to play on it so far is VIP, and it doesn't give you a good feel for the flow of more traditional modes like TDM. It seems like a solid map though. Cartel is probably my least favorite map. The chest high foliage, exposed side area, and giant barn are all visibility nightmares. Brightening up the building interiors on most maps, but particularly on Cartel, would be a massive improvement. Armada is a pretty interesting map, but the interplay of vehicles, turrets, and long-range sniping can make it feel a little chaotic. Because of how players need to use the zip lines to get from one boat to the next, you can camp the ends of the zip lines and mow down enemy players like fish in a barrel. The map could definitely use some covered walkways or something that provides more cover between boats. So far, I think Crossroads might be my favorite map in the beta. The vehicles have enough room to roam without instantly dying, but they're also easy to avoid. So you're not constantly getting mowed down by them like the boat situation in Armada. The objectives offer ample cover from snipers, so you won't be getting picked off of the objectives without a chance to defend yourself or take cover. Overall, it's a solid map. Not what I would call amazing, but it really suits the gameplay and doesn't have any significant visibility issues. As for the Fireteam Dirty Bomb mode, the Alpine map is where things get a bit sketchy. The mode itself is an excellent blend of battle royale and objective-based combat. The goal is to collect chunks of uranium and deposit them into a dirty bomb. Once you have enough chunks loaded, you can detonate the bomb and get a big score boost. Whoever has the highest score when the match ends wins. But the mode throws in battle royale elements like armor and parachuting when you spawn. So the flow of the match is a bit different than a standard mode. I really enjoyed Fireteam except for one major issue. Massive stutters. Performance across the board in Cold War beta has been extremely rough for me. And I've been playing it on a high-end NVIDIA card that runs Modern Warfare with no problem, and playing this even on its lowest settings, the FPS can dip into the 50s. But it really does seem like there's something bigger going on here, especially with the graphics not even being as impressive as Modern Warfare's. There shouldn't be any reason for these frame dips, so I'm sure there's a bug or optimization issue. Also, in Fireteam, multiple times during a match, the entire server would really just start stuttering. It doesn't seem like a big FPS dip, but more like a network issue or netcode issue, and really the problem is completely game breaking. Your inputs don't register, you freeze frame and rubber band all over the place. When it happens, you might as well just step away from the game until it goes away. Likewise, even in the regular modes, players still rubber band or move in jerky motions, making it really hard to track targets. Really, it seems like the beta's biggest problem is just its overall performance. And it's unfortunate that these rather serious bugs get in the way of enjoying Cold War at times, because actually I was having a lot of fun playing it. Some people may have issues with the graphics. Other people will probably prefer many of the game modes over Modern Warfare's. It's still certainly way too early to say definitively if it's a better or worse game. As far as betas go, it is a pretty fun beta if you can overlook the extreme network and performance issues that crop up. I will say that after playing the beta later in the evening, these issues were a lot less severe. They could have been caused by everyone signing in to play the beta just minutes after launching, but if they do become long-term problems when the game releases properly, that would certainly be a bigger issue. Now, getting a little more nitpicky, gunfights across the beta's modes sometimes felt unresponsive. This could certainly be due to networking issues, but there's multiple instances of me shooting first and feeling like I should have gotten a kill, but then just dying or feeling like my bullets weren't connecting where they should have been. I hesitate to say that it's a hit reg issue or a lag compensation issue, but something definitely feels off about the gunfights. So far, I've only been able to finish one match of Fireteam. Every other match I've played, the server crashed. And even then though, issues aside, I think it's a considerable improvement over the alternative battle royale modes in Warzone like Plunder or Ground War Domination. It really fits the theme of a battle royale, has interesting and focused objectives, and has a stronger flow than Modern Warfare's modes. You also spawn in with your loadout, so aside from getting items that increase your ammo reserves, there's very little in the way of looting. One issue that stood out to me was how powerful the helicopters are. You can mow down an entire squad from the gunner seat, which only has a machine gun. The pilot can fire rockets with a massive area of effect. Taking a helo out isn't too tough with a rocket launcher, but you will die repeatedly if the pilot or gunner are any good at the game. The only other problems I had that were specifically gameplay related was when only one dirty bomb was left to detonate, everyone basically starts raining down on it as they spawn. This can lead to a lot of I killed everyone in front of me but then an entire team spawned behind me type of deaths. It's not necessarily the worst thing ever though, it just created an awkward gameplay mechanic. Now the sound design feels like it needs a little bit of love from Treyarch. When you can hear them, the footstep audio is excellent, but the range that you can hear enemy footsteps at is extremely limited. I died a bunch to people sprinting that were just barely out of my view. I also noticed some issues where enemies would get out of water but they were totally inaudible. I distinctly recall dying to someone who had just climbed out of water onto a boat. In the kill cam, the audio of him surfacing is obvious and loud, but I just didn't hear anything from my side. And it's certainly possible that this is due to some of the limited mixing options that the game currently offers. So I'll reserve judgment until the full game launches, but I would like to see some adjustments. Modern Warfare's audio is notoriously problematic, and I don't think anyone wants to repeat the same issues in Cold War. Overall, my first impressions of Cold War's beta is that it feels like a bit of a janky beta for an otherwise solid game. The most significant areas of concern for me are the network and performance issues, of course, as that absolutely has to get fixed for the full game. The grenade spam was a bit over the top, especially on certain game modes, and the sound design for enemy footsteps definitely needs some work. The big question on everybody's mind, though, is probably how Warzone will feel when it's updated with Cold War's content. And unfortunately, there's no way to test that right now, and it's unclear exactly how Warzone is actually changing. Cold War is a pretty wildly different game in terms of perks and weapon attachments. The Fireteam mode offers a glimpse at what Warzone might be like with Cold War, and I think that is a pretty positive glimpse. Treyarch's original Battle Royale for Black Ops 4 Blackout was a really solid Battle Royale that kind of got overwhelmed by gimmicky gadgets and aggressive microtransactions. The Fireteam mode makes it seem like they're sticking with Warzone's gameplay, so I think we'll be getting a blend of Blackout and Warzone when the game launches. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Every Call of Duty title really seems to be a wildly divisive experience. No matter how beloved or hated a particular Call of Duty is, there's always a vocal group on either side of the argument. Personally, I think Cold War is a nice return to form for Treyarch and the Black Ops franchise. It does away with all these silly character abilities and gimmicky mechanics, which were something I didn't really like about Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. But at the same time, Modern Warfare's more realistic or tactical elements stood out and elevated the game to something pretty fresh feeling. I'm not sure how happy players will be with a game like Cold War that's trying to do a tightrope walk between Black Ops and Modern Warfare. I'm certainly more for it than against it based on the beta, but those technical issues definitely need to be addressed. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more content like this in the future, and I'll see you guys next time. This is LevelCap signing off.